Welcome back, beautiful people. We are here for part two of our mind probe with our wonderful Liz Cross of Celine Dion, who has the stiff person syndrome, sadly. And I think part one was amazing. It's just crazy. We can't see Liz, and we explained this in part one because she has worked with a lot of high profile crime cases, and so we don't want to endanger her life. And also, she is a specialist in mind probing, which you can see on her YouTube channel. She'll explain that, and also on our previous sessions with her. So, and we have Erik, our assistant, my son. I love you still.
Love you. He loves you so much. He likes where he is at the moment, but there are a lot of times he says, I just want to be able to hug my mom.
I know.
I know,
I
it's
know.
really sad.
Mm.
It is. But at least
Tell
you're
me
in
about it.
constant contact with him.
Yeah, not quite the same.
No, it isn't. It
But it's as
isn't.
close as I'm ever going to get until I join up with him.
He'll be
All right, we'll
there.
go on with the community questions. Very interesting, and they always have the best questions.
Mm.
Has Celine, we're mind probing you. Celine, have you given up on life since the death of your husband, Renee? If not, how has his death changed you as a person?
I don't feel like she's given up on life. She says, no, I haven't given up, but it's certainly very, very different.
Yeah.
That support system that she always had there obviously is not there anymore. She's
Mm.
having to navigate things herself. He was very good in business.
Yeah,
He always
apparently.
kept her safe and he kept her protected. And he made a lot of decisions. She didn't really have to think and work too hard about making decisions. He would automatically just know the right decision to make for her. And
Awesome.
she really misses that. They were best friends. I don't feel, and what she's telling me, she's like, they rarely had an argument. Rarely.
Wow. Apparently they were just really good friends for years and years and years before their love affair started. So that she described in that Netflix movie Love Again, which I really recommend to people. She plays herself. It's a 2023. I mean, it's very recent, or 2022. I think it's 2023. Now, could your lifestyle on stage have anything to do with this? Like the sound equipment, for example, could that have contributed to this syndrome you have?
Has the sound, because obviously your body's being hit by sound waves all the
Yeah.
time. Did the sound waves cause a disruption in the cell process? No, that is a great point though.
Yeah. Anything else in the environment perhaps contributed to this?
Just the constant exhaustion when she was
Okay.
traveling a lot.
Okay.
Uh, but apart from that, no, this was in the DNA. This was something that obviously was pre-programmed to be there in this lifetime, and
Mhm.
she wants to fight it. I mean, there's parts of her, don't get me wrong, when you're mind probing someone, it's their current personal thoughts, feelings, and opinions right at that moment.
Yeah.
And part of her says, yes, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to fight and I'm going to do this and I'm going to
Yeah.
do that. But as the day wears on, it's like, I don't want to be here. I can't, because she knows, obviously, unless by some miracle, she knows the ultimate outcome.
Yeah.
So she wakes up, she wants to fight, but then by the end of the day, the reality of the ultimate outcome is setting in, and it's like, I don't want to do this.
Well, none of us are getting out of this alive, Celine.
That's
Okay.
true.
Can Anthony Williams, who is a medical medium,
Mm-hmm.
be able to help you, Celine?
She doesn't know who he is. She
Okay.
doesn't. She
So
doesn't
Erik,
know.
Erik, let's ask you. Would Anthony Williams, the medical medium, be able to help her at all?
Yes, as far as like cutting back the inflammation as much as possible,
Okay.
the inflammation really causes it to sort of become extremely active. And so it's really about taking a look at what causes the inflammation, the root causes. I don't feel that it's all just down to eating, though. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot of stress and environmental factors, and like you said, anxiety,
Yeah.
a lot of sadness, depression. But certainly that could help her alleviate some of the inflammation.
Yeah. Inflammation, back to self-loathing. I'm wondering if her working on her sense of self-worth, like doing inner child work, anything like that would help. Or even past life regression to see what these incidences of paralysis that she had in other lives, if it contributed, and if she had past life regression, if that would be released and therefore make her better.
So, because I do the CTT, which is a past life regression technique, and it actually permanently rewires the brain. If
Yeah.
you do it long enough, I've healed people, with lots of anxiety, depression, those sorts of issues. I work on addicts and all kinds of stuff.
Mm.
As far as expanding her consciousness, the past life regression, she would have a better understanding of who she is, why this has happened, why she's designed this in her lifetimes. But because this isn't actually a brain wiring issue, this is a malfunction in the body, a
Right.
DNA. I don't feel like this autoimmune has anything to do with the brain wiring.
Yeah.
But
No.
certainly it could heal her sadness. It could heal
Yeah.
her depression and expand her consciousness to a point where she can maybe feel confident about who she is and what she's doing, why she's here, what is her soul telling her. Those are very, very interesting concepts that come through when we're doing the CTT. So that's certainly
She might
energy healing.
benefit from working with you. I mean, give her the 30,000-foot high perspective on her life and lives. So,
You never know what you're going to get with a CTT either. It's not like just a regular psychic reading. We never know. We peel
yeah.
it off in layers, and it's so interesting. And anybody, it doesn't matter who they are, whether how wealthy they are, because I've worked on some sort of wealthy Hollywood people, and I still do. And then no matter how rich or poor or whatever, it can benefit everyone, because you really start to learn about why you're here,
Yeah.
why you're here, and why you are the way you are. So for her, I'm saying, but what about like a Reiki? Because scalar obviously would help her. Reiki, I don't feel like Reiki would be potent enough to help her. Hypnotherapy, I feel like if she dipped into like hypnotherapy, she would want to astral travel. And sometimes when you're under hypnotherapy, you're just not all the time, but sometimes you report back gobbledygook, So really, just expand her consciousness. But again, this isn't a brain wiring issue.
Okay. If she could, by whatever modality, truly, deeply, unconditionally, authentically love herself, would that cure her and have her body
No,
attacking her itself?
I don't think it will cure her, because I think this is how she's supposed to leave.
Yeah. Okay.
But it'll certainly make her comfortable in that passing. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When people fight their passing,
Yeah.
it's hell.
Oh. All right. Perhaps you will ask Celine Dion's spirit if working with Sonia Choquette would help her. I have no idea who that is, but maybe Celine doesn't know either. Maybe Erik knows.
Yeah, Celine doesn't know who that is, so let's go to Erik. I'm getting a no. I don't know who this is and what they do, but I'm getting a no.
Okay.
But it's
All right.
worth a shot to try.
Yeah. Was this the side effect? And of course, I can't say this because,
Oh, yes, I know what you're talking
of the
about.
jab.
Ooh, is this a side effect of?
And you guys know what I'm talking about. I just can't say it.
Now that's very possible that helped to trigger that along. That's what I'm getting from Erik. Celine wouldn't know that answer.
Okay. All right.
But That's what I'm getting from Erik. It's sort of a lot of things are laying dormant in our body, and Erik is saying that it could activate things that were laying dormant for many years. I don't know how, but you would
It could
understand
start the process of what was already written in her chart,
that. Mm.
I guess, right?
It could activate a lot of things.
Mm. Any chance metals have anything to do with it? Like heavy
Ooh, metals have anything to do with it? I mean, if it's important to detox.
Yeah.
Celine doesn't know the answer to this, so I'm going to Erik.
Okay.
It's important to detox on a regular basis. Everybody should be detoxing like 3 to 4 times a year, going through a cleansing process.
Okay.
Too many metals, he's saying, are responsible for a lot of diseases and a lot of conditions.
Yeah. What about in her case? Is there a connection with stiff person syndrome and toxins, heavy metals, anything like that? Or is it
No,
just making it work? Okay. What about hyperbaric oxygen? Being in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, would that help her?
it would certainly relieve the stiffness. I feel like she's done this.
Oh, okay.
And it certainly relieves the stiffness. It can extend your extend your lifespan or
Mm.
health span, more so than lifespan, but health
Oh,
span.
yeah.
So yes, it relieves the stiffness, but if she laid in there, I mean, I don't feel like she can lay in there permanently.
I
Um,
would want to. Jeez. Okay, but it
but
would
it
help.
certainly helps.
She can
Yes.
afford to have one in her home. Maybe she does.
Yeah.
So go get one, Celine, if you don't have one, and maybe it'll help you. I
I
know
feel
that
like
Michael
she has
Jackson
one.
had one.
Oh,
Yeah.
she has one.
Oh, okay. What life lessons or past lives, so we already answered this, but maybe you can add to it, have influenced Celine Dion in her current incarnation on this planet? First of all, I want to know what was the cause of her childhood paralysis on, mostly. I don't know how many times it happened in how many lives, but was it polio? Was it a birth defects, spina bifida?
So she would always be born healthy,
Mm.
but it would be some sort of virus or disease. I feel at one time it was a bacterial infection
Mm.
as well. And just illnesses throughout the ages. I mean, we're going back hundreds and
I
hundreds and
know.
hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Um, and her father would have to make her like this makeshift wheelchair. And, the siblings would have to carry her around. She was a real burden on them.
And she probably
Um,
felt like it. Hence, that contributed to this
mm,
deep-seated self-loathing, probably,
mm-hmm.
and sadness. Uh, were any of these caused by accidents that caused paralysis?
Were any of these caused by accidents? No, they were always caused by illnesses.
All right. What other past lives influenced your life beside the ones where you were paralyzed? Uh, influenced your life as Celine Dion?
Well, she's always wanted to be influential. That's what I'm picking up from her soul. And this was a way to really influence people in a very positive way. She's always a very positive soul, as in, she always wants to make a very positive contribution to society. A lot of those past lives, she hasn't been able to do that. Even when she had a beautiful singing voice and she was disabled as a child in previous lifetimes, they would still have to hide her away. It wasn't something like, wow, look at that disabled person singing.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it was very much like, shh, be quiet, don't let anybody hear you. They're not supposed to know we have a disabled child. So in this lifetime, she wanted to bust through all of that
Yeah.
and be able to be, up there singing, influencing people, a voice of comfort.
Yeah.
so that was all part of the contract. But obviously now this is the downfall. She's not going to keep, she's not going to be able to keep singing. I don't feel
No.
that she's going to be singing from like a wheelchair or anything like that. I think that, but her voice will obviously live on,
Yeah.
and she
Well,
would have left making this really positive contribution to the earth plane.
how much of choosing being a singing star was because you needed the attention that you really never had, and how much is that you wanted to, help others and comfort them with your talent, or maybe it's a
Well,
little bit of both. Hmm?
so when I see her as a child on the, on the floor playing, um, there wasn't a lot of toys there. I don't see, she really
Yeah.
had to use her imagination. And there was something within her that says, I refuse to live like this. I
Mm.
am not going to live in this sort of environment where, money is tight and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to carve a life out for myself. Now, she wasn't always sure how she was going to do that, but obviously, this talent naturally shined through.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of her own realization, it was because others were like, "You are so amazing." Um, because even now, if you tell her that she's this wonderful singer, she'll just say, "Oh, thank you." But she
Yeah.
doesn't actually believe it on the inside,
I
which
bet.
is
Yeah.
very humbling
Yeah.
in a way.
She's apparently a very humble person. Yeah. Are you afraid?
Are you afraid? Very. And that's what causes a lot of the anxiety and panic.
What's your biggest fear, Celine?
What's your biggest fear? Dying alone.
Oh, okay. And Erik, will she die alone?
No.
Okay, good. Will you teach singing or write a book about your life? Um,
Yes. And also, what's coming through, she's telling me she's glad that it's something that's quite rare. So it
yeah,
becomes highlighted in society due to her status.
yeah,
Other people have suffered with this for a long time, but nobody's ever heard of it. Well, because
yeah.
it belongs to her, she has this privilege of highlighting the difficulties and what this actually is, or it would otherwise just remain unknown.
Celine, do you plan on donating money to get this research to try to find a cure, if not for you, for others?
She already does.
Oh,
She donates a lot of money.
yeah. All right. Now, a Latin psychic said that she doesn't have much time. I don't want to go here because that's free will, etc. So,
Well, it's
I
a
don't know.
contract between her and Source.
Right,
So
right. How did your symptoms start? Can you tell us the moment, the day, the month, the week, what happened, where things started to happen psychologically and physically?
so she's telling me like she would just have pains, unexplained like pains in her arms
Hmm.
and in her legs. And over time, but at first it was nothing. It was just very gradual. And
Yeah.
then over time it was getting worse. And, she's trying to find answers for it. I feel like it took a long time to diagnose this.
Oh yeah, probably. It's so rare. Probably thought,
Uh,
it's the aches and pains of old age, even though you're not that old, and things like that. You probably dismissed it, and probably doctors dismissed it too.
they
Uh,
did.
yeah.
They
How was
didn't know what it was.
how was it
They
ultimately diagnosed?
I'm sorry. I talked over you. I'm so sorry. What was the question?
No problem. How was she ultimately How were you ultimately diagnosed, Celine?
A specialist, somebody had seen this before.
Okay.
and said, I wonder if it's this. She's displaying all of these symptoms.
Yeah.
Let's get you tested for this as well. And ultimately, that's how she was diagnosed because they were scratching their heads.
I bet. I bet. All right. Last question. Of course, you can talk all you want after this, but can you give a message for your adoring fans?
Well, I love these types of questions. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be me. I
Mm,
wouldn't be who I am.
beautiful.
It's the fans that makes the person. It has absolutely nothing to do with who she is. It's what the fans make of her, right? So without fans, you're nobody.
Well,
And she's just
I
very
that's
grateful.
your humility coming through, obviously. But everybody's somebody. We're holding
Well,
up of God.
everybody's somebody, but she certainly wouldn't be the well-known Celine
Oh yeah,
Dion
of course. I
wasn't
understand. Okay.
for.
Yeah.
But you're right. Wasn't for the people who actually believed in her. And it's because of the fans she's now continuing to fight and find answers and help people and give money to research and talk about this openly, because she feels like it's time to give back to her fans.
Yeah.
So I think that's very nice of her. She comes across, her energy is very good.
Yeah.
She comes across as a very, very decent human being.
Oh, I feel that too. Now let's do the opposite. Can we get a message, Eric? Can you get Renee and get a message for Celine from the love of her life?
Oh, wow.
That wasn't on one of the questions, but
Yes,
in
wow.
case she,
Very handsome. He's projecting himself as very handsome.
of course, why wouldn't he? He
Right.
was apparently a real charmer.
Oh, right. Well, he says, I'm with you every day. I'm your source of comfort. Even though you may not realize that I'm there, I'm always there holding her hand. He's there wiping her tears. And he's here waiting. He cannot wait until they're reunited again. He says, I'm sorry I had to leave, but something about her having to go through this on her own
Oh, part
is
of the contract.
really part of the soul ascension contract, part of the journey. If he was there on the earth plane now in physical form, he would have made it so easy for her.
Yeah.
And it wasn't supposed to be easy.
Yeah. So his early death, preceding her in death, was part of her contract as well. Then,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what is interesting is when they've had previous lives together, they're the type of couple, like, when one dies and the other one dies like a day or two
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
that's them.
Mm. Wow.
This
Okay.
is a
So
very different contract
Celine,
for them.
we'll talk to Celine herself anyway. Do you plan to reincarnate anytime soon? And if so, what would you be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's going to reincarnate many, many, many more times.
And
She
with Renee,
likes,
I'm sure, right?
yes, absolutely. And so he supported her in this lifetime. In the next lifetime, she is going to be his support.
Oh, nice.
So I feel like he is going to be some sort of very well known public figure,
Hmm.
and she's going to support him all the way. They tend to do this scenario as well. Like, I support you this lifetime, you support me that lifetime. So it's his turn on the next lifetime. And possibly what Renee is telling me, because he's up there planning it now,
Hmm.
making preparations, and he'll obviously run those by her when she gets up there. He's telling me, she'll probably be the one that leaves early in the next lifetime.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to share, Celine or Eric, or if you want to ask any questions, Liz or Renee, you too. Anything before we close?
Renee is just saying thank you to all the fans. Actually, he says, you don't understand how much your love and support means to them. Again, just very humble people, just
Yeah.
very, not showy, not, look at me, I'm a mega star and you're
Yeah.
not, none of that at all from them. They're just eternally grateful for the opportunities that the fans obviously have given her in this lifetime. And he loves you all, is what he's just said.
Any final words, Celine?
Just thank you for giving her this space and this voice today. And Erik thinks that, these types of probes are very important. He's saying to me, and I'm saying, really, Erik? And he says, yes, because there's so many people suffering with health problems, and they're suffering in
Yeah.
silence, and they're suffering alone, and they're housebound, and leaving the house is very difficult for them. So having these types of probes is very comforting for them as well.
Awesome. Also, well, we'll close now. Thank you so much, Celine, Renee, Erik, Liz. Liz has an enormous YouTube channel where she has a lot of mind probes. What's your latest mind probe on the channel, Liz?
Oh, Lord. They're very controversial mind probes. Let's see. I did a whole mind probe on Trump and Biden. I'm doing mind probes on cryptocurrencies. I do mind probes on serial killers. I love crime. My interviewers, not so much. They're scared of crime.
Yeah.
The Lucy Letby one, I just did her. Oh my God, what a psycho. Just lots of different mind probes. There's something for everyone there. There's
Yes, there is.
there just is always something for everyone. So I thank everybody for their support and just believing in me as well and believing in you. It's nice that we have the ability to enlighten so many people because, of course, in the mainstream, they want to keep everything hidden.
Mm.
And the truth is always out there. So, yeah, and I'm just grateful. I'm working on some homicide cases at the moment.
Ooh.
So I love those. I love that. But not that the people got hurt,
No,
obviously, but I like to be able to help in some way.
bring closure for the family, etc. So, tell us about the what does the CCT stand for that you do?
Oh, well, it's CTT.
CCT. I know, I get it wrong every time.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Everybody, it doesn't really matter. It's consciousness transformation techniques. It was originally created by George Duisman, who followed the emotional freedom technique. So it's born out of the
Yeah,
EFT.
yeah.
But he put a really in-depth spin. I've made my own modifications as time has gone on, and it's really, really powerful stuff. I mean, it's amazing stuff. And the fact that it rewires, like a lot of times after sessions, people will report, I feel lighter. I feel renewed. I feel refreshed. And if it's like any therapy. It's not a one-hit wonder
Oh
process.
yeah, of course.
um, you know, it's like any therapy. Therapy is a process, but over time, especially the people that have been able to stick with it, oh my God, the changes that they have made is just, they feel so empowered. They're so enlightened.
That must be
It's
so
just,
rewarding for you. That's awesome.
I love it because I learned something. I'll give you an example. I did a reading not too long ago. Hopefully, it's one of your listeners. And I do these past life readings on my site. They're real. They're only $25, and it was so interesting because she wanted to know, like, why does she have so many blockages? And when I got in there and I started picking through the past lives and picking through her soul, I thought this was so interesting. Her soul sets up that she banks her good karma because she's always good to everybody. She treats everybody fairly. And she couldn't understand why none of this good karma was actually coming back or reciprocated in this current lifetime she's experiencing. And the soul had other plans for her good karma. It was like, no, we're going to bank all this good karma for maybe a potential lifetime when we actually need it. But what this was doing, it was causing her to struggle so much. And so I talked to her soul. I was like, okay, you got to release some of this good karma and give
Yeah,
her
of
something
course.
back in this
Yeah.
lifetime. So you never know what's going on. I mean, I've had souls that have basically put their feet on the desk and they're like smoking a cigarette and they're like, you do you. What they're doing here on the earth plane, I'm not taking part of this. I'm tired. I'm burned out. I'm done. I don't know what I did in the design. And then there's other souls that are still fighters. It's just so interesting to connect with people's souls through the CTT and
Oh,
understand why these
awesome.
events have taken place. It's just amazing. And then, of course, it rewires the brain.
So you guys check her out. The end description box below has all of her information. Thank you, Liz. Thank you,
Thank
Celine,
you.
Renee. You guys go back to part 1 if you missed it. And Erik, I love you.
Love you. We all love you, Elise. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for everything that you do for all of us. So thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.